All right, today we're talking about Where the Streets Have No Name, something that doubles as a great U2 song and also a pizza delivery man's worst nightmare. And it sounds something like this. So this is going to be a good lesson in kind of how to use a delay pedal, right? And this is just going to be a pretty rough estimation of the Edge's delay sound for this particular song. If you're really into the minutia of it, I'm going to link you to an article that is everything you could ever want about the exact specifications of the Edge's delay. But for this example, I'm going to use a Strymon Timeline delay pedal, which is really kind of like the ultimate digital delay pedal out there. And one of the cool things about using a digital delay for really dialing in a sound is you have like a meter here that shows you exactly like what your milliseconds are. So basically, just real quick rundown of how that works. This time right here is how long it takes to hear a repeat. Okay, so if we start with the 10th fret of the high E string, that's how quick it is. Now I can kind of like take this time knob and twist it, and then it's a slower delay, so you can kind of like really speed it up. Now, roughly, this song is around 350 milliseconds, okay? So that's kind of like the delay sound you're looking for time-wise. Now, the next thing you're going to need to know is the amount of repeats. All it is like when you strike a note, how many you hear afterwards. So that's like 1, 2, 3. It's about 3-ish, right? You can actually kind of turn that down too on the number of repeats here. So like all the way down, that's just one repeat. Now, you can kind of really finesse into it about how many repeats you want. So that's kind of closer, right? So now when you play it, it kind of gets that. That's about it, right? And depending on how many repeats you have, the millisecond timing that you put it at, that is really going to depend on how you play the rhythm of it. So before we get into more of that, I want to talk about exactly what's happening on the guitar, okay? So it's a pretty simple pattern. It starts off on the 10th fret of the E string. It goes to the 10th fret on the B string, the 12th fret of the G string, and then the 11th fret of the G string. So these are all the notes that we're going to use. And the cool thing is this is actually a D major triad. So what that means is a D major chord, all right? Arpeggiated, kind of played one note at a time. So you could take like a D major chord, bar chord, and then just take the bottom 3 strings, and you're left with that, okay? Now, if you use your ring finger to kind of toggle back and forth between the 12th and the 11th frets, that's what's giving us that change in the chord. Now, so the notes here are a D, an A, and a G, and an F sharp, okay? So a D major triad is a D, F sharp, and an A. Now, if you replace that F sharp with a G, what do you get? You get a suspended chord. And which suspended chord? There's 2 types. D, E, F sharp, G. G is the 4th note in the key of D. So this is actually a D suspended 4 to a D major. Okay? So we're just going to go back and forth between those two. So E, B, G string, 12, 11, 12, back to the B string. Now, the timing that we set with the Strymon Timeline is really going to kind of force us to play this at the proper speed, or else it won't sound right, okay? And that's the cool thing about it's almost kind of like having a built-in metronome if you're playing with delays, and it's something that can be frustrating, but that's a great thing about having like a digital delay where you can kind of see the readout. Another way people will use delay pedals like this, or an analog delay pedal, is a tap tempo. Now, the one that he used is actually a TC2290, I think, which has since been discontinued by TC Electronics. But this pedal has kind of like an emulation of a digital delay. It has a bunch of delay engines. I'll probably do more videos on this pedal in the future. But basically, this is just kind of, like I said, a rough estimation of the sound. And once you kind of like get locked into that, the delays will kind of line up and have that really cool signature sound. Now, the next part of that is he's really just going back and forth between those 2 chords, but strumming them more. And again, it's not even about thinking of like the down and up strokes or even counting it. I think it's really when you're playing like a strumming kind of pattern playing with a delay pedal like this, it's almost better just to try and feel where those repeats are coming to kind of lock you into that kind of tempo, all right? So, again, definitely check out some delay pedal features because I think it's like a really cool and kind of inspiring thing that you can get into to make you be more creative. And I also think it's helpful to kind of find out how some of the best people who have used these pedals have done it in the past. So if you have any questions or comments, please hit me up in the comment section, Instagram, Twitter, or the website, and we'll talk to you all soon. Thanks a lot.